I know. I'm late. My gosh. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I am exhausted. And the exhaustion will not be ending anytime soon. Hello, everyone. It's Micah. What is up? I am... I am spent. Um, okay. So we're gonna yap a bit prior to getting started. First off, new hat. I like this one. You can American flag hat. I also got my dad a happy 250th um for Father's Day, which is cool. Um and yeah. So that's cool, right? So yes, Father's Day was this past week. I sadly did not get to go see Dad. Um but the but at least I could get him a present this year. You know, that's what I try to do. If I'm not going to be there, I try to send somebody something so that they know I'm thinking about them, you know, that I miss them. So, um so yeah, what we're going to do today, we're going to yap a bit before we do any painting because I'm going to be honest, guys. I have been so busy with video stuff for the past week. I haven't even looked at my paints. I did get a couple things in though that I wanted to show off as I readjust this camera over here. First and foremost, I got this in. This is for when I start doing miniatures. For basing them. That way they look good. And then I got a few more AK Interactive paints for model painting as well. So stuff for this is for like highlights for me specifically for the Raven Guard. Though, given the color of this, I could probably do Crimson Fists if I wanted to, but I really don't want to freehand that fucking logo. No, 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 no. Stuff for doing flesh as well. Um, so yeah, cool stuff there. Um, other than that, I have not done anything with models at all over the last week, and I probably will not be doing um, much model stuff for probably the next week either. So I'm probably gonna be behind again. Basically, what's going on to give you guys a heads up is I am bound and determined to get the audio and script for Neo Zeon War Part 1 done in the next week. I've been putting it off for too long. Usually we have at least one Gundam Explained series per year. We haven't done this year's yet. So my goal is to start it now and have it done by December. So part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. So so that's going to be going on. God, I need to shave too. I look terrible. But yeah. That's going on. Brain's in a fuck GW kind of mood. Yeah, we had something happen today. So there is a mod for Tabletop Simulator called ForceOrg where you can basically use it to start up miniatures or basically learn how to play 40K through that system or through Tabletop Simulator. And that mod's a big part of it because it allows you to assign wound values and things along those lines to your models so that you can just play 40K virtually. Because the fact of the matter is that there's no way to learn the 40K tabletop without knowing somebody else who plays it in real life. So if you're like from a smaller town or something like that, there's no real good way to get involved with it and things like that. So Force Org was a boon for that because you could learn how to play it online. That's how I learned. Um, because personally, I didn't want to, start getting involved in like the local store scene without, like knowing that this is something I really wanted to get into. So, um, but GW has nuked it, unfortunately. Now, does that mean it's going to really affect it long term? Probably not. More than likely what happened is a cease and desist got put on it. They will probably find a way around it, or something new will pop up. So it's just one of those things where it's kind of a bummer. Clay, I think everybody's heard of Ace Combat, dude, and I do own 7. I just it's very rare that I am in a mood to fly jets. I just It's just a very rare thing for me. Brain's in the chat and he can attest. In video games, I am a very good pilot, but I'm just it's not something that strikes my fancy very often. But anyway, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about. I want to have a look at this community update for Space Marine 2, and then after that's done, we will go ahead and start painting and shit. So yeah, let's have a look at this because this is really interesting. So the June community update for Space Marine 2 just came out. These community updates come out once a month, though they said there won't be one for July because they're going to be dropping another patch. So let's have a look at this. I want to do this because I'm admittedly putting off the painting because I have to get up, I have to get some water and all that stuff, and I want to talk to you guys first. Okay, so June community update. Hello Space Marines. Oh, one thing I should mention. I finished Rogue Trader a couple days ago. We're going to talk about that too while we're working on stuff. Hello Space Marines. Welcome to our June community update. As summer kicks off, it's time to bring you the latest news on what's ahead for Space Marine 2. From teasers for Year 3 to the upcoming arrival of Patch 14, there's plenty to cover, with a lot of spoilers ahead since there won't be a community update in July. Let's get started. Yeah, because they're probably not ready to start talking about Year 3 just yet. So, more teasing about Year 3. Let's reveal a bit more about the free content that's going to be added in Year 3. 2 new weapons are on the way. The first is the Absolver Bolt Pistol. I think they Hey Brain, isn't Absolver in the tabletop supposed to be with an E, not an O? But anyway, the Absolver Bolt. Why can I not say that? What the fuck? Absolver Bolt Pistol, which will be the signature weapon of the upcoming new class. So Chaplain, Apothecary, or something else. There's 3 classes I think that use it. The Apothecary is one, the Chaplain is the other, and the third would be the Judicar. But the thing about the Judicar is that's just a Chaplain. Brainer News' membership. Okay, I need to turn the monitor off on that. That's echoing through, and I don't want to do that. He says month 16. Everybody get up for month. Anyone know how many months it's been? Yeah, it's been wild. It's absolutely been wild. We are actually over 150 members, guys. That's fucking crazy. And we will be doing a Q&A stream, a members only Q&A stream tomorrow at about 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Where we will do a Q&A where you can ask me almost anything. The one thing I am going to restrict is politics. I don't decide to talk politics. Advent of the Lady Columbia throws some $5. Since Gundam 8 apparently is getting animated. Apparently the director will be Tomoki Kyoda, who directed Eureka 7 and Razafon. Interesting. I don't know much about Gundam 8. We'll look into that after I'm done reading this. Anyway. The second one is a one-handed thunder hammer. We're getting very salamander in here because we talked about this last week. Remember that the salamander expansion set for the tabletop has a one-handed thunder hammer. However, there's another thing that also uses a one-handed thunder hammer: Terminators. So it makes me like the people over at the Astartes mod that are working on that probably saw this and are like, oh yeah, Terminators are about to look a lot better in that mod, which is good because in the mod for the Astartes mod for this game, there is a Terminator class, and you can get a Stormbolter, which is great. I love Stormbolters. So they've got that modded in. It's a pretty good weapon. But the thing about it is that for Terminators, the weaponry that they used, you can't do like some of the acrobatic moves that you can in normal power armor. So whenever somebody in Terminator armor starts doing shit like that, it's really weird. Having a one-handed thunder hammer would probably look a lot better. So anyway, while we mentioned a few months ago that the greatsword was the priority for a new melee archetype, the thing about a greatsword, the two classes that use that on the tabletop are the librarian, specifically the Phobos librarian, and the Judicar. So if there's a chaplain class, they'd be able to use it. Because they would probably have Judicar customizations, and then the later stuff would be just full-on chaplain. But Greatsword was priority for a new melee archetype. Plans have changed, though perhaps it is still coming. This wouldn't be surprising, honestly. We were also supposed to get a because it's in the files, the type of bolter, the single-handed automatic ones that that we get from the I forget the class. It's the Gravis class with the jetpack. We were supposed to get those at one point, and we didn't get them. Instead, we got the single-handed bolt carbine that just came out. Brain throws in $20. Holy shit! It says, I wonder if I can cheat the system by having an orange super chat. Does that count as 4 light blues? It does not. It only counts as 1. But I will consider that I'm gonna consider that the goal. Everything else is gravy. So yeah. Now here's what's going on. 2 new bosses will be added at the respective operation. So that's cool. Heretics among you should be pleased, as there will be more ways to play your Chaos Space Marines. Okay? You'll be able to play with characters that were once limited to PvP only in a new Chaos spin-off of Siege Mode. This is something from Space Marine 1 that I'm glad they're bringing back. So, Brain, we're going to Iron Warriors it up. We will be Iron Within, Iron Without. I don't give a fuck about the rest of the Traitor Legions. The Iron Warriors are the only competent ones. Now, regarding the cosmetic downloadable content, Year 3 will also receive a Season Pass. New champion and cosmetic packs will be added, representing new and returning chapters. Space Wolves, rejoice! The first champion of Year 3 will be a Wolf Guard champion with a classic Space Wolves round storm shield. Thank fuck. Let me show you what they look like. Wolf Guard. So they are basically the Space Wolves equivalent of the first company. Which this is their veterans. So they have Blade Guard veterans, stuff like that. Ragnar Blackmane is part of it. So that means that we're going to basically get the head takers, which are, let me pull that up real quick. Mouse died for a second. Wolf Guard head takers. So this is effectively what we're getting. We already have the helmet that they get, but this is what we're getting, basically, is the Wolfguard head takers, which I'm excited about because I love Wolfguard head takers. I don't think you get a doggo, which that would be awesome if you did. If that there was an ability to summon a fucking Fenrisian wolf as a partner. But as you see here, what kind of makes them interesting or unique, obviously, is the rounded shield. They get power axes, which are already in the game. They have a unique cloak. They have a wolf head fucking Crux Terminatus as their why is my brain blanking? What is it called? Their Iron Halo. Blah. But they're a really cool looking unit. And the thing is, in Space Marine right now, they have the helmet, and the helmet is badass looking. Let me see if I can find a good image of it. Do they actually show the helmet an option? They do. So this helmet right here is in Space Marine 2. You can just get it. But the cloak and the belt and stuff like that are not in the game, nor is the shield. So if you want to make a Wolfguard head taker, you kind of can't. It just doesn't look that good. Not to mention, if you put the wolf pauldron on, the wolf pauldron is the head of a white wolf, but the fucking ponytail, because I forget the name, of the Wolfguard head taker helmet is brown. So it me personally, when it comes to I really like synchronicity, that drives me nuts. So you can't make a proper Wolfguard head taker in Space Marine 2 right now. You just get the helmet, which is fine. You could just be a Wolf Guard, and just have the helmet, and you're just, hey, I'm Space Wolf's first company. Anyway, so Space Wolves get that with the Storm Shield, which makes me very happy. The Death Watch, there will be a Death Watch champion in year 3. That'll be cool. The Exorcist chapter will receive a bespoke cosmetic pack. And as we revealed in last month's community update, one of the champion DLCs will be for the new class, same way it was for the Tech Marine. So meaning that if it's the chaplain, my thought would be maybe we get another Black Templars champion and it's gonna look like Grimaldus, which would be pretty fucking cool because Grimaldus is the shit. He's the man. He's the best Black Templar. I like. Don't get me wrong. I like Helbrecht a lot too, but Grimaldus he's the guy. He's admittedly probably the best chaplain in the setting, but there's other chapters that their chaplains would make sense. The Dark Angels and Interrogator chaplain would make sense. Because Asmodai, everybody loves repent. Everybody loves that. So you can be paranoid as fuck. That would be cool. Now if it's a apothecary, my thought would be it would be Blood Angels because it would probably be a sanguinary priest. Unless Brain. I know you're still here, so I need your help. Are there any other chapters that have unique apothecaries? Because sanguinary priests are a big Blood Angels and Blood Angel successor thing. The only chapter that doesn't have them is that I think, or there's only a couple chapters that are Blood Angel successors that don't have them, and it's the Atlantean Spears and the Lamenters do not have sanguinary priests, so they are much more strictly Codex compliant than the Blood Angels are. But yeah, that would be my thought. If it's an apothecary, it will be a sanguinary priest, which means the Blood Angels get another champion. But I have a feeling that they're gonna be doing repeats. I have a feeling that yeah, if it's a chaplain, it'll be Black Templars, or it will be or it will be the Dark Angels. Um, though maybe the Death Watch champion could also be the Apothecary. Who the fuck knows? You know, because the Death Watch do have the Death Watch have, you know, apothecaries. The Death Watch have chaplains. So, um, in fact, if I remember right, one of the major Death Watch chaplains is a salamander. That there's like official art of, and he's like in Terminator armor. It's fucking cool looking. But anyway, so yeah, the Exorcist getting a cosmetic pack is really cool. I like the Exorcists a lot. The Lamenters are getting one too that got leaked. That is kind of depressing looking. I don't know if anybody saw this. Give me a second. Because they data mined a bunch of stuff, and I'm trying to find it. Okay, yep, it's here. Here it is. So, there is a Vitrix Guard knee coming, but there really is, this could go on. This is like just a first company thing. The Crux Terminatus on the leg. There's going to be this is specifically a Vitrix Champion shoulder plate. So they're bringing that in, which you'll be able to make a perfect Victrix Champion, which I'm excited about because I really like the Victrix Guard. And then this is the Death Watch stuff that you're gonna get. You're gonna be able to get the Mark 8 arm, a chest plate, which this looks really cool. So that's exciting for people who really like Death Watch. I'm not the biggest Death Watch fan, but I know a lot of people are. This is the Lamenters DLC armor. And it is kind of depressing. Brain here says in the chat, sanguinary priests are a unique phenomenon of blood angels and their successors due to the Red Thirst. No other chapter I know of have specialized apothecaries, at least that we know of. Yeah, here's the Lamenters. Jesus, bro had a bad fucking day. God damn. I didn't know. I have noticed though. The one thing I noticed about this is that the pauldron is not as marked up. Doesn't look as ugly as the rest of the armor. So if you just want to have the pauldrons, then you're good. Which is smart. Man, this is the true Lamenters experience right here. Oh my god. I'm happy though, because I love the Lamenters. So the fact that they're getting something makes me really happy. I love the decorations on it. I love the chains, and it's obviously not finished, but God, look at the detail on that. Because basically what this looks like, Brain can attest to this. Because Brain and I have played a lot of Space Marine 2 together. There will be points. It's basically every time I'm playing Bulwark, which is my favorite class. Every time I'm playing Bulwark, which in fact one of my customizations for Bulwark is a Lamenter. Anytime I'm playing Bulwark, you can bet your ass there will be a point in the mission where I am surrounded by 20 Tyranid warriors. And I'm just fucking them all up. And he has actually watched me get into a giant pileup like that and walk out. So, but this is kind of accurate to how I feel afterwards. Like, I've had a rough day at work. I love that game so much, dude. It's so good. It's so good. It's like it's one of my favorite games ever. The fact that the Lamenters have an actual heart symbol on their shoulder, I think, is very sweet. Yeah, they're one of those chapters that is very. We did a Masters of Lore video on them. They were one of the first chapters that anybody requested, and people were gung ho. They're like, yeah, give us Lamenters. We love Lamenters. So, and I love Lamenters too, so it was really cool to get to talk about them. And God, Shirt Dude, he has the best line, and I can't really do justice to his accent, because for those who don't know, Shirt Dude's from Europe. Um, he one thing that goes on with that is there was a point where the Black Legion was attacking a planet during one of the Black Crusades, and the Lamenters held them off by themselves for 6 weeks until the Ultramarines were able to get there and help them out. Which is why Calgar has so much respect for them. But they were supposed to get backup from the Mortifactors. And then the Mortifactors get bad juju from the Lamenters, so they didn't back them up. And I love what Shirt Dude said. He goes, "Oh no, Mercury's in retrograde. We can't help you." Oh my god! Like now I can't think of the Mortifactors without thinking that they're all like the Space Marine equivalent of people that collect crystals and really care about their fucking astrology. Oh god. But yeah, so we went through the history of the Lamenters and all. They've done a lot of cool shit. They're a really cool, really good chapter. They are fucking durable. They endure so much shit. So, but anyway, so patch 14 is on the way. This patch is a smaller scale compared to the 2 previous ones, because we're preparing for a much bigger patch 15. But this update still brings 2 new PvP maps, Facility and Sanctum, located on Demarium and Avarax. A new enemy will be added for... Oh, fuck, brain. Get ready. A new enemy will be added for the Thousand Suns, the Scarab Occult Terminator Sorcerer. This new Terminus enemy will be present in every Chaos operation, meaning it's a fucking mini-boss. Oh shit. That's gonna be a fucking nightmare. Yeah, oh no. Yeah, so that's a thing. More heroic power weapon variants will be added in this patch. Among them, the Stalker Bolt Rifle, the Power Sword, and the Power Fist will receive a heroic variant. $10. Brain throws at $10 says, more Terminators to break. What do you want? Yeah, I'm excited. That's gonna be so cool. It's gonna be a tough fight though. I guarantee you it will be a hard one because Chaos, dude, the Hell Brute is already can get pretty tough. So being able to fight a Chaos Terminator is gonna be a Sorcerer is gonna be wild. More heroic power variants will be added in this patch. Among them, the Stalker Bolt Rifle, Power Sword, Power Fist. There will be 3 other heroic weapons for a total of 6. Shit. So let's look at these. So this is the Stalker Bolt Rifle. I don't see anything super special about it, aside the fact that it's a Death Watch weapon. So I'm curious what this is gonna do. Because the Stalker Bolt Rifle is like probably my favorite bolter in the game, and I'm pretty good with it. This is a Salamander's sword. Look at the hilt. It's Dragon's Head. This is a Salamander's sword. That makes me happy. I'm curious. I'm hoping this is a parry weapon instead of a block weapon, though. I fucking hate block weapons. Especially with the Power Sword, it's not good as a block weapon. But this is a Power Fist with a Meltagun attached to it. Holy shit. So the thing is, like, Death Watch people don't realize it, but you're eating better than you think. Did you hear Gendy is doing a cartoon of Conan? Yes, I did, and I'm excited to see how that's going to turn out. Okay. Finally, the season pass content this patch brings the Salamanders Champion Pack 2. Here you go, Brain. Brain plays heavy. Heavy Champion is Salamanders with a Salamanders themed multi-melta. Brain, we're gonna have to get that multi-melta leveled up, dude. Multi-melta is really good when it's fully leveled. It's really, really good. Not quite as good as the Pyre Cannon, because it's the Pyre Cannon. It melts things. That's what it does. But the multi-melta's ability to clear out a horde is really, really good when you get used to it. Last note on patch 14, Steam players will have the opportunity to test it on the public test server and provide feedback in early July, and July is next week. So somewhere around here is when we're going to get our hands on that. I will be playing it. I'm probably not going to play it on stream because I don't stream video games anymore. But because nobody likes watching them for some reason. So lastly, Space Marine 2 is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. So for those of you who are Switch 2 players, there you go. Community event to earn 100 accolades is still ongoing for a few days. You have until July 1st to complete a total of 30 waves in Siege mode on any difficulty. To earn 100 accolades. So, which isn't really that much. I like to, whenever I just want to do stuff, I fucking just play 15 waves on normal just to kind of like clear my head and just kind of think. Also, mod support on consoles. We're going to continue expanding official mod support for the game and bring mod support to consoles. So that's kind of neat. And that's it for the month. All right. So that's pretty fucking cool. And yeah, they're probably not going to return it until I can understand why they wouldn't return to August. They're going to do the July patch, and then August is the start of year 3. So at least I think it is. So because what was the roadmap? I think this is the end of the roadmap. Hold on a second. Let me Google foo this a little bit. Space Marine to year 2 roadmap. Oh wait. Need the updated road. I have to get it from Reddit, but okay. So yeah, we are here. So yeah, it's the it is the last of this year. So the next year 3 battle plan will be from 2026 into 2027. So yeah, we are getting Salamander's Champion Pack 2. We're getting a Raptors Cosmetic Pack, which it said, I think I didn't read it, but this is like both pauldrons. You're getting the only thing we're not getting is legs. So I'm going to be making a sniper out of that. So yeah, and everything that they promised is here. So it says War Gear Update, so some things are going to be updated to be on more armors as well, which would be really cool. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that. Excited for the Helldivers X Warhammer collab, hoping they have Krieg. It will probably be Krieg and Tempestus Scions because they don't let Helldivers have faces. That's what I would think. Probably the Armageddon Steel Legion too, I would think as well. Though they're not nearly as popular as the Kriegers, let's be honest. I like the Steel Legion personally, but you know, at the end of the day, you go where the money is, and the money's on Krieg. People love that World War I aesthetic. Okay. So, granted, we already kind of have the Guardsman game with Darktide, which I've been playing a little bit of that with Brother Mouse. And I don't have the money right now to get the Skitarii. I just paid an artist like $700 for pages for Project Lazarus. So I'm just readjusting my wrist brace or my fucked up wrist. So I am broke. I am broke because I got to pay my rent, and I just bought a big grocery order, so that's gonna last me until the 10th. So yeah. But I've been on this new medication that is kind of curbing my appetite, so I'm not eating as much. So as you can kind of tell, I'm starting to kind of slim a little bit. So I'm tapped whenever it comes to funds. I wanted to get the Skitari. I really did. Because from what I've seen of the Skitari, they're really cool. So, um, but yeah, it is it is a thing. So, painting. Um, where did we last leave off? Let's go ahead and make some moves over to this direction, and we'll have a look and see where we're at with things. So much that they sunk titloads of money into a tabletop with no actual tabletop. Trench Crusade. Yes, that is very true. Um, all for a skirmish game, which is wild to me. But you know what? There are people out there that for some reason do not like. They're big mad at 40K for one reason or another. So they look out for alternatives. But the fact of the matter is that it's not like 40K is always going to be top dog in the same way that unless Wizards of the Coast keep fucking the pooch, um, Dungeons and Dragons will always be top dog whenever it comes to top RPG. And personally, it's not my favorite system either. Fifth edition is eh. It exists. It's a thing. But it worked well enough for Baldur's Gate 2 or Baldur's Gate 3 rather. 2 is 2.5. Um Z-Brain, I bought an army painter thing. Um because Citadel paints are too fucking expensive. So where last we left our heroes, we had painted a bunch of stuff. Currently reading Sun Can Rock recommended. Never heard of it. I need to move my microphone a little bit more. That's better. Okay, now you can hear me a bit better. But as I was saying, last we left our heroes, we had finished painting a bunch of leg parts. And to be honest, since I did not prep parts for this episode, we will probably be doing a lot of prep and not a ton of painting. So I do apologize. That's on me. It's just been a busy week. Plus, I got sunk into a video game, which is my own fault. So I take the blame on that. So if I'm not entertaining enough, I do apologize. Okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to do assembly, and then we're going to see what else needs painting or things of that nature. So, let's have a look here. So I know we have everything for the feet. Feet picks incoming. Foot. And foot. We got those. Brain says here, I would hope our chats over Battletech show that as much as I root for the underdog, I'm also not a blind follower of them. Trench Crusade very much being another case of that. Yeah, and I'd be in agreement. Like, Trench Crusade has awesome lore, but the thing is that, and people are going to need to understand this about, competition, is you have to look at what the other guy is doing and do it better or do it uniquely. That's basically the long and short of it. If you're not able to do that, you are going to be dead in the water long term. Or you're going to be kind of stuck where you're not really growing, but you're not really dying either. Which is sort of where I see Battletech at. Battletech's not really growing. You know? They're doing their Battletech Gothic thing, which it's a thing. Some people seem to be hyped about it. I don't care. But But it's not really a franchise that's growing. It's not one that people are super hyped about. There are people who like talking about the lore behind it, which is cool. I'm very happy for them. But um it's not really a series that has a lot where it stands out. Like I've sampled a bit of BattleTech lore, right? And by the way, I'm not trying to shit on BattleTech fans, just so you guys know. I promised this year that I was going to try to get into BattleTech, and I am still trying. Um, it's just not necessarily being successful. But the one thing that I'm noticing with the lore is that there's not really a lot of what I would call heroic characters. Characters that you really get behind and are really interested in. At least not that I've found yet. If there's something I'm not seeing, please let me know. I'm going to turn on my air conditioning because it's kind of hot. So you guys are going to hear my voice is going to be a little distorted, but this thing's loud. Granted, I'm also somebody who gets easily distracted by background noise. Bit of a fault of my own, admittedly. But as I was saying, the thing that 40K has that BattleTech does not have is those characters that are easy to get behind. I feel like this is missing something. Wouldn't the L2 part go on first? Guess not. This is gonna be interesting, to say the least. But it's lacking characters to really get behind. It's just the mechs, you know? And there's a reason that 40K and its lore and its story are as popular as it is. There's a lot of characters you can get behind. How much about BattleTech do you know? Not enough. Not enough. I'm learning. Give it time. But I'm just giving you my observations thus far. And like I said, they could be very limited. But there is a lack of characters to really get behind. And 40K has a lot of characters to get behind. So you find yourself in a position where, as somebody who, like most people, you look for that narrative, you look for that. I'm going to move this a little bit so it's a little bit more comfortable for the rest. There we go. You have that person to root for. And right now with BattleTech, you don't really have that. Again, unless I'm missing something. Like, you have your houses that you root for, or your clans, but not necessarily your, like, your individual heroes. And that's just something I've noticed that's been a weakness of BattleTech. And I've heard from BattleTech fans for ages is there's a lack of that. Like, there are characters, obviously, but they're not ones that really have stories that are like, you're like, oh, you have to read this, it's an absolute banger, you know? Whereas 40K has a lot of them. And I think it might have been Brain who said this. Look up Alexander Kennedy. Okay, so there's one. There's one. You gave me one. The other one is the guy who pilots the Black Marauder. That's it. Those are the only two that have come across as really interesting. And I don't even know anything about Alexander Kerensky. But you see what I mean, though? Like, now let's go to 40K. And think of how many characters you could rattle off from 40K that fit that profile, right? So that's kind of one thing that, at least in my opinion, holds BattleTech from gaining the popularity that something like 40K is gaining. You know? That's a good looking foot. At least I think so. I would recommend the blend. Oh, I've already seen stuff like that. Tex has been in the chat before. He, like, his series helped inspire me to do the stuff that I'm doing. That and a couple other types of videos like Warhammer 40K lore. Like, those are who I mostly pulled from whenever it came to doing my stuff. And honestly, I feel like, and this is just me, maybe I'm tooting my own horn too much. If I am, let me know. I'm of the opinion that nobody really does for Gundam lore like I do. Nobody. And I think that I bring a pretty unique spice to it. But a lot of that came from watching 40K stuff. And the one thing that I realized especially is, like, these guys are having fun. These guys are having a blast with what they're talking about. Whereas Gundam content creators at the time were very dry. You're correct, BattleTech is setting first, robot second, characters last. Yeah, and that's a problem. It's not conducive for building up your universe. I am of the opinion, and this is just me, I am of the opinion that, in fact, this is just what I would do if I was the head of narrative for the BattleTech universe. Is I would find an author and say, I need a series of books based on one character in a rather bloody war that's about 5 books long. And then let them have at it. Because in my opinion, they need something that's akin to, like, the Uriel Ventress books. And they don't have that. Oh, apparently I'm missing a piece. Um, Okay. Well, we'll put as much of this armor on as we can, and then we'll get to prepping everything that we need. So there is the assembly for the leg. Also, I have Princes of the Universe by Queen stuck in my head. Brain says this, the big thing, I said this before, BattleTech suffers from writers being Tom Clancy light, and it's very, very dry. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I've had people complain about 40K books that, like, you hear about characters being phenomenal strategists, but there's very rarely many books that go into it. It's like, well, yeah, because strategy is very dry. It's not easy to make strategy compelling. A lot of writers are not able to do it. I'm confident I could pull it off, but Even then, I might be overconfident there, admittedly. Do these need another coat? They... Wait, they might. Am I missing a piece of the leg? Oh, I already took it off. Actually, no, they don't look like they need another coat. I'm just being paranoid. Many of the interesting characters died in the First Succession War when all the houses nuked each other back to the Stone Age. And that's the thing, like, at that point you got to think of like, okay, where do I want my setting to go from here? You know, that's a consideration that you have to have at that point. Ah, because I can also understand they probably don't want to feel boxed in because 40k lore can kind of seem like that. Like in 40k, if you were to announce a new edition and you say at the start of it, Caven Shrike is dead. Speaking as a Raven Guard guy, I would be very pissed off because I love Caven Shrike. And there's not a ton of Raven Guard players. Though the Legion is growing. God damn it. Do it like that. But if you said Caven Shrike was dead, that people would be fucking pissed. Because they painted a model for him, they spent $50 on the model. They don't want that purchase to be invalidated. You know, so that's a big thing that you don't want to do. And that's kind of the place that GW is stuck in with that. You know, like they're not going to be killing off characters. But at the same time, you can't really move your setting forward very easily if nobody dies. So I have a feeling that the Battletech guys don't want to be stuck like that. But at the same time, it also leaves you to where there's nobody to get attached to. So, but that's just my thoughts on it. That's just my observance so far. All right, so we're making progress. So this part goes on the front of the leg. Guessing. Okay, like this. Oop. There we go. Easy snap. The way it should be. And then this goes like this. Like this. Like this. Okay. Come on, you son of a bitch. Try not to force it because I don't want to break it. Yeah, there we go. Slot there. By the way, that beep is me, not you. My either my keyboard or my mouse went to sleep. Need to find a way to silence that. It does get annoying when I'm recording or something like that, and then I hear that in the background. I can't explain why Princes of the Universe is stuck in my head, man. It's not like I watched Highlander recently. Though it is a good movie. Better to burn out than fade away. Oh, some goings on that happened recently. Somebody that I've spoken to in the past recently announced that there is no comeback for him. And it was kind of sad to see. So for those who don't know, Spoonie, who is I guess you could call him an icon of old internet. He was one of those guys that came out when, around the time of like the Nostalgia Critic and Linkara and all that stuff. He was one of the early staples of Channel Awesome back when I worked for them. But Spoonie, Noah announced that there is no comeback. He has basically flat out said, it's been 10 years since I last did a video. I'm not doing any more. I have no plans to come back. It is over. And I'm not gonna lie, guys. I understand that Spoonie has burned a lot of bridges, and Lord knows he shouldn't have. But it was a little sad to see that. Because the thing about Noah, and I've only had a couple conversations with him, and this is like a long time ago. Like, there was a call that I was in with him and Angry Joe about stuff, because he was wanting to know about how, like, Blistered Thumbs was going to run and stuff like that. Because he was thinking about writing articles at one point. I think he just decided not to do it. But, I just kind of gave him an idea of, like, how it would go. And then, another time I was on Lord Cat's channel, it was me, Jason, Spoonie, and I think Brad, Cinema Snob. I think it was the four of us. We were chatting about just old shitty movies. And from what I could gather, at least in the two conversations I was involved in with the guy, he seemed like behind the scenes he could be a pretty nice guy, But he just, admittedly, he would do some weird shit, Yeah, Adam Seeker, he officially hung up the gloves. Booney is like, he's a weird dude. But the thing about anybody that is like a content creator or even just like an artist or anything like that is we're all weird in one way or another. I will tell you right now, I have my idiosyncrasies too. I have my own really weird things about me that people still to this day probably do not understand. For me, I have a tendency to get tunnel vision. And whenever I get tunnel vision, I forget everything else. So, but anyway, So we need L1 and 225. I apparently did not paint those. That's F, G. Sorry, I gotta hear plastic moving in the background. Um, but anyway. But I think that, like, everybody always wanted him to make a comeback, even if you were pissed off at him, even if you made fun of him for, like, all the shit with his girlfriends and things like that. Um, I think a lot of people deep down wanted him to make a comeback and wanted him to just not be an asshole. Because that was a big problem with him, is just, again, he's such a weird guy that he would get pissed off at people and just decide to go scorched earth on them. And nobody ever really understood why. Like, for example, when he got kicked off Channel Awesome, was he made a joke, specifically a rape joke, towards Jezu Otaku. And one of the other people on there, who I think she doesn't do content creation anymore, um named Obscurus Lupa. I remember Lupa being just a part of the community back then. Assault Wyvern Gaming for $2 says, "Have a nice day." Thank you. I will, or at least I will endeavor my best to. But but the thing with is that Lupa made a big deal about it. She was very pissed off, which, I mean, that kind of humor is not for everybody. Let's be honest. And generally speaking, like, I could talk to how these sorts of situations tend to work. Is that you will end up in a conversation with Mike Mashad and Rob, who's Doug's brother. Rob is the guy behind the camera for the Nostalgia Critic, for those wondering. And you're gonna get a talking to, and they're gonna talk to you about what's going on and so on and so forth, and they'll, you know. But the thing about, like, those conversations with them is their mind is already made up before you go in there, which is why talking to them is kind of pointless. You know the hammer's coming down. So, he probably got pulled in, was asked to apologize, and he was probably of the attitude of, "Fuck no, I'm not apologizing for jokes." Um, which, here's my thing. If if it's a coworker or someone that you care about or somebody that you want to um that you're trying to be cool with, there's nothing wrong with saying, "All right, I might have gone a little far. My bad." Because there's some people online that just, like, are under the impression that apologizing for something is a sign of weakness. I could not agree less with that sentiment. I'm of the opinion, don't apologize to someone who wants to destroy you. Don't cave into a mob. But if it's someone you care about, or if it's someone that you don't really want to have problems with, it's better to see things from their perspective and try to be kind. the Christian thing to do, in my opinion. But I think that just in general, even outside of religion, it's just a good idea to be kind to people, especially people you work with. After the Warhammer Navy video, will it be Dark Angels or Blood Angels? I don't know if either of them got suggested when I asked for suggestions. So hold on to that. The next time I ask. Because another one of those posts will be coming next month. I needed a little bit of break from Masters of Lore. Because again, I gotta get this Double Zeta stuff done. But the Imperial Navy video it will be edited. I'm gonna start editing it tonight. Yeah, treat others the way you want to be treated. It's the golden rule for a reason. And I'll be honest. If someone wrongs me, and my hope is that they will you did? I might have missed it, Jeremiah. I would like to talk about either of them. So I will try to remember to put that on the list then. But as I was saying, so the next thing that happens with Noah is he kind of just like he still was popular on the internet, and he was getting $5,000 a month off of Patreon. And this is still when not VidMe. I do not remember the video service we used for Blistered Thumbs and Channel Awesome. But that site still existed, and they paid out. Their ad payouts were probably like double what YouTube does, which is probably why they're out of business. But okay, I'm looking for the. There we are. Which ones do I need? 15 and 16, I'm guessing? Yes. But, as I was saying, so Noah was making $5,000 a month on Patreon. Which, by the way, is fucking absurd. You know, $5,000 a month, like, I think of that right now, like, just personally. Dude, I don't make $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month, I don't know if I've ever made that much. Because that's 60 grand? 60 grand a year. So basically, yeah, 60 grand a year at minimum of what you're making. And he announces the Spoonie movie. But you can see in the video he's fucking terrified. And obviously it never came out. And he just kind of collapsed after that. He started doing live streams, and he would lose his shit over the dumbest stuff. Like, people would try to joke with him and say, you can negotiate with the geckos in Fallout 2. Obviously, you can't negotiate with the geckos. It's a joke, Noah. And he would lose his mind at people. Like, don't tell me how to play the fucking game. It's like, bro, it's just a joke. People are trying to have fun with you. This is the live streaming experience. People will make jokes. It's okay. So that was kind of like a big part of like what started the downfall for him. You should have just stuck with reviews, basically. Like, live streaming's not for everybody. There's a reason I don't do it very much. Like, I don't think I'm very good at it, but people asked me to do it, so I'm like, all right, you know, fuck it, might as well, right? Not to mention, I promised, you know, JP fans, which is, I have an affiliate through them, that I would do this on a regular basis because, you know, they send me free shit. So, which I hope you guys are signing up for that website. Hint, hint. Because if you sign up through the referral link, they do pay me. Lord knows I could use the money. But it's one of those things where, like, I think that a big part of, like, whenever people get into content creation, they do it because they just like making stuff. Like, they just have fun with it, right? That was it. Like, that was it for me when I got started. I just had fun with it. But then you start making money, and that's pretty dope. Then you start making enough money to live on, and holy shit, I can live on this, and I don't have to work as much, and it's not soul draining. Oh fuck, I've made it. I couldn't be in a better position, and it's true. Like I said, I don't even make that much. I could probably make more money working in retail than what I make right now. The reason I can do this is, like, I can do it full time is largely because of just the simple fact that I live very cheaply. I am a cheap ass whenever it comes to everything. I don't have many bills. I specifically have gone out of my way to not buy a car because I would never use it. So there's a lot of bills I don't have to pay. I don't own a home. Given how the housing market is right now, and homes are just too fucking expensive, I don't plan on it in the future either. Whenever I move out to North Carolina, it will probably be into an apartment complex. I will probably never buy a home unless I make big money here on YouTube, which I don't know if that's ever going to happen, you know? I am admittedly in a niche subject matter. But you never know. A lot of the YouTube old guard are terrible at live streaming. I think it's because they came up in a different internet ecosystem, can't adapt for whatever reason. Yeah, I think that could be the case. The only person that I know that's been doing that's been a content creator for a long time and has really adapted to the live streaming atmosphere is Maximilian. Max is really good at it. Granted, Max is my favorite content creator for a reason. Like, that's a guy that the passion that he has for what he does comes through in everything. And I feel like that is paramount. Yeah, I do rent. And I live admittedly in a kind of a beat up apartment. Like, right now there are repairs that need to be done in here that aren't getting done because my landlady, I get the sense she's a bit overwhelmed. She lost her husband a few years ago and he managed everything, but she managed the money. And he was a bit of a handyman. So if something needed fixing, he could just come over and fix it. No big deal. But without him around, you know, it becomes that much more daunting because you have to try to schedule people to come in and do these sorts of things, and she's just struggling with it. And I've thought about moving out, but the problem that I run into is that this is extremely affordable where I'm at. It's just, so right now I have to deal with the fact that the water drains really slowly in my shower, and I don't have a working light in my bathroom. And now there's a part of the toilet that's busted too. That I have to I think I can fix it. And I have an idea of how to fix it. Both a temporary fix and a permanent one. So, but you kind of get my meaning. Like, it's not one of those things where I could just buy a house, you know, not one that's affordable. Because between the home itself, the homeowner's insurance, plus property taxes here in the state of Illinois, which are very high, it would I would have to pick up a second job. So, in which case I would have to buy a car and then so I could get to the second job and da 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 da. Like you kind of see what I mean. It becomes that much more complicated. And I've been in a point in my life where I had two jobs, and I don't want to be there again. But admittedly, that is part of the reason why I push memberships and things like that as aggressively as I do, which I know it annoys some people, and I apologize for that. But you know, it's just part and parcel to making a living doing this type of work. Um, and if it helps, I don't plan on raising the price of those memberships ever. You know, I think $5 is enough. You know, because I'm not giving you as much content as a streaming service, but I try to get a video done every week, and I try to, you know, do the weekly podcast as well. So I try to make it worth it. Surprised you're not considering leaving Illinois. Oh, trust me, Azrael, I want to. I want out of this fucking state. But the problem is that right now I have a couple things hanging over my head. The first is getting Inglewood fulfilled. I still don't have the money for it. Um, admittedly, starting on Lazarus was an impulse, and it probably could have waited, and I probably should have waited. But it's the one book I've wanted to do for a very long time. I saw an opportunity to get it started, so I did. So, but now I'm admittedly getting a little bit of buyer's remorse. But regardless, getting Inglewood out the door is a big deal. Not too bad, Badzilla. I'm just filing stuff. But anyway, so I've got that hanging over my head. I want to fulfill that. That's a few grand. Or well, a couple grand to get that fulfilled. But then once book 2 is out, then I feel like I'm free and clear. But I have a couple big paydays coming in the next couple of months, or probably like 3 months, really. So once that's out, then Lazarus will go out as well, or Lazarus's campaign will start, I should say. But yeah, it's not easy for me. It's not been easy. On top of like the medical expenses, like the wrist and everything. I haven't even been able to go get this casted. I don't think I'm going to be able to. So, because I had some other expenses come up too this month due to this and things of that nature that really hurt me financially. So I'm like flat busted. Book 2 of Lazarus comes out when it comes out. Well, we haven't even done book 1 yet. Though there are novellas. For those of you who are interested in Project Lazarus, um, there are two prequel novella, or there's one prequel novella and one story that happens during it that you can pick up. You can buy both on Amazon. Um, you can actually read them through Kindle Direct if you want to. Johnny, you're not wrong. You are not wrong at all, buddy. Biblical perspective is a wonderful thing. I want to look at the back of this thing's feet. Okay, so it's just the same color. Okay, that'll be easy. But, now here's the thing. One thing I am noticing is that the more I do this and the more views I pull in per month, the more my the amount that I'm paid per view for my ads is increasing. Which is crazy. And admittedly, doing streaming has helped a little bit too. So, I think I've got a good strategy going forward. But the big thing is I just want to make you guys happy. You know, I want you guys to be happy with what you're getting from me. Because at the end of the day, I am at your whims whenever it comes to this as a content creator. And you know what? I think that's also kind of, that might have what did in Noah. Going back to the Spoonie conversation, I feel like that's kind of might have what did him in. Is that a lot of his approach, at least from my perspective, came across as very me, right? What about me? What about Raven? You know, but yeah, what about me? What, you know, what about my thoughts? What about this, that, and the other? What about me? It's like, well, when it comes to being an entertainer, once you're off the stage, people don't give a shit. Like, and I'm not trying to be mean about it either, because here's the thing, like, it kind of goes into like the reason I don't freak out about what things that actors say. It's like once they're off the stage, I don't fucking care. Right? I just don't. Unless they did something heinous to someone else, if they're just talking shit, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Like with the whole Millie Alcock thing, I didn't care. I don't give a shit. You know, is she gonna do good in the role? Yes or no? It seems like no from what I'm hearing. Um, it seems to me like she's gotten a little too big for her britches, and she's paying for it. But she's largely gonna pay for it because apparently the movie sucks. But I didn't really care about what she said because it doesn't really affect my life. You know, it's the same thing. Like people were freaking out about the voice cast for the new Ghost in the Shell. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with this voice cast, except there's one guy on it that people don't like his opinions on stuff. And I am probably oversimplifying, but there's a level of truth to it, I think. And the people were like, "Oh, they didn't bring back the old cast." Well, it's not the same. It's not the same story. If they were doing more standalone complex and they didn't bring back the old cast, I would have a problem with it. But in the manga, characters like Bato and Togusa and all of them are different. And I think a lot of people don't know that because the only Ghost in the Shell they know is standalone complex. They've never read the manga. The manga version of the Major is a fucking girl failure, and you'll love her for it because she's fun. She's a lot of fun as a character. But people are going to be screaming this, that, and the other about it. But the whole thing with that is like, look, I don't. I probably would not get along with any of these actors if I met them in real life. Probably would not. And I don't care. Because I'm not their friend. I'm not here to be their friend. I'm here to see them perform. Yeah, it's sort of like I don't have a relationship with the guy who sells me hot dogs or the guy I buy pizza from, right? All I care about is he making good pizza? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, I'm a happy camper. I have no complaints at that point. If you stop making good pizza, then we get a problem. You know, I'm from Chicago. You don't make good pizza, we're gonna have a talk, pal. We're gonna have a talk, and it's gonna be about the pizza and the Polish sausage and Ditka, especially Ditka. That bears. Don't like his hypocrisy. That's all I'm gonna say on it. Well, that's fine. But overall, my point is like the one thing that we're thinking about is the performance. You know, that's the only thing that people really care about. I am personally not into the culture war shit, and I've been out of it for a bit, and I just don't care. I just want entertainment to be good. Yeah, I don't mind VAs for different versions of characters. I'm in the same boat. And don't get me wrong, I forget the name of the woman who voices Kusanagi in Standalone Complex. Um, but she's a tremendous voice actress. So far, she's been the best one to play that character. Yeah, at least it's not Yang. No offense to that guy, but yeah, he's not voice acting is not his thing. I don't really think he should be doing it. That's just me, and I'm not a voice actor myself, so I can't speak to the stresses of it. But yeah, a lot of you guys are going to be kind of surprised at how different this major is. She is a bisexual girl failure. There is a point in the manga where she films a lesbian orgy porno for money. Which I don't think they're going to put in the anime, and like subsequent releases of the manga have cut it out. But that is part of the story. Yeah, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. She's tremendous as Kusanagi. I love her as the major. But it's a different the manga version's a very different character. Kusanagi in Standalone Complex is very stoic. And is the boss. She has to exude a certain authority in her voice. And Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is perfect for that. But this version of Kusanagi is going to be a bit different. They got the girl who plays Makima in Chainsaw Man to voice her in this new one. That's a little bit more. That's a little bit more sensible because the thing about Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is that she doesn't have sensuality to her voice. So anytime that the character Kusanagi talks about sex in Standalone Complex, it doesn't really. It's very it's very matter of fact. It's not really meant to get you going, if you get my meaning. Whereas the voice actress for Makima, goddamn, she can, yeah. Mainly knew Mary Elizabeth McGlynn for her vocals in Silent Hill. Yeah, she is the major in Standalone Complex. She's tremendous at it. That version of the major is probably my favorite, admittedly. I'm just interested in seeing the manga version being brought to life. And the fact that Science Saru is working on it, they did tremendous with Devilman Crybaby. It's very different than Standalone Complex. Standalone Complex is what I would consider, it takes itself a lot more seriously than the original manga did. Because for those who, if you've never seen Standalone Complex, go watch it. But it's a police serial. And it has all of the seriousness that a police serial needs to have. So, not to mention, I think Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is getting up there in age. She's probably not taking as many voice roles. She's probably also union, so that probably has an effect on it. Which, speaking as someone who has been considering getting into voiceover, and I've been talking with some people about it, um, I I'm definitely like of the opinion that like it's not something you would want to do forever because your voice changes as you get older. You know, it's not easy to continue to replicate the same thing as it happens. And for some people, it's a boon. Like I think my voice sounds way better than it was when I was in my 20s. Like way, I sounded like high pitched when I was younger, but just something happened in my 30s where like the lower register came in, which means I can't sing as well as I used to be able to, but when I speak to people, I sound a lot better. I've got a deeper voice now, and it sounds more professional. I used to sound pretty squirrely, in my opinion. In fact, that was something I got made fun of when I was younger. Because I was wanting to. I don't know if I've talked about this with you guys, or at least not in a while. Like, I was originally going to college to be a preacher. And I am a good public speaker, obviously. I think it goes without saying. But the one thing that I heard from people that I knew at the time, I'm gonna turn this on backwards, that I knew at the time was or for what people would say to me is that I can I was giving some of the best sermons in my preaching classes. I could come in on barely any sleep and knock it out of the park. But I didn't have a voice for it. I didn't have what you would call like a preacher voice. Because my dad is a preacher, and he has kind of that deeper candor than what I have. I think nowadays I could probably pull it off, but I'm not really interested in being a preacher. My beliefs haven't gone anywhere. It's just one of those things where I just don't have that desire to have that role in a church. Jake Blacklock says, I had the voice of a soprano once. I had vocal cord Joker for Batman Arkham Knight. Batman! Would you leave me to hang here and die, would you? I can't really do Joker. Okay, so we've got a good portion of these filed down and put on stick. Or now we'll put them on the sticks so we could start painting them today. But yeah, when I had a higher voice, though, I was a way better singer. I used to be able to hit, like, James LaBrie style notes. Like, if you've ever listened to Dream Theater, specifically listen to um Strange Deja Vu. I could sing that song easy. It was like nothing. Nowadays, I can't hit those high notes. I've tried and just nothing comes out. Part of the reason I don't listen to Dream Theater as much as I used to. It's just depressing. I like to sing along sometimes, which I imagine is true of a lot of people, but it's just something I do whenever I'm cooking. I like to listen to music and sing. So nowadays, it's more stuff like Stone Sour and, things along those lines. And Lamb of God as well. I can only imagine my neighbors hearing me when I'm cooking, and then they just hear, "This is the path to ruin." The end of all progress. Yeah, that didn't come out right. But they probably hear that and they're like, "What the fuck is wrong with that guy?" Or they hear, "Hello, me. Meet the real me. In my misfits way of life. A dark black past is my most valued possession. Plain sight is always 2020, but looking back, it's still a bit fuzzy. Speak of mutually assured destruction. Nice story. I forget the rest of it. Feeling paranoid. Yeah. Can't tell I'm a Megadeth fan. Oh no. Why do the space sharks have a massive megalodon on their ship? Because Warhammer is not subtle. That's kind of what I love about it. Disagree with you on Mary Elizabeth McGlynn's voice being unsensual. I know you hate Naruto, but her voice work as the female version of the Thulsa Doom Eric Draven looking snake guy is great. Um, that was Mary Elizabeth McGlynn? I could have swore that was somebody else, but I wouldn't say that's sensual. I have a feeling she probably could if she tries. It's just one of the I personally don't see her that way. It's a me thing, admittedly. Her husband probably disagrees with me. And yes, I'm aware that the new Berserk chapter is out. Is it translated yet? You can't do a Hispanic woman? Oh, mijo. Oh, mijo. Why you not take out the trash? Why you sit here all day making gunpla? I can't even do it that well either. Though I will do it on occasion to Brother Mouse because he's Mexican, so I'll do stuff like that to mess with my friends. I'm just that kind of guy. Because you gotta have fun. Uh, D227. I'm not seeing D227. Oh, I might have taken it from two runners. Okay. But yeah, is the new Berserk translated? Because if it's translated, I definitely want to read it after the stream is over, which will probably be in about 30 minutes. Chest of your Gym Night Seeker is completed. Very nice. Yeah, you only have one life. Live it. But yeah, one thing I have admittedly been thinking about doing, I don't know if I'm going to end up doing it, is I've been thinking about moving into more voiceover stuff and narration and things of that nature. I mean, I already do it for two channels now, my own and another one. So it might not be a bad idea to try to get into voice acting and things of that nature. Because I am able to do different accents and things of that nature, comrade. And I don't think I sound too cartoonish. Not that much moose and squirrel whenever I'm doing the Russian one. So my German accent is very, very pretentious sounding. I sound like I'm supposed to be ordering someone into the camps. And I don't want to sound like that. One thing I will admit though is I don't one thing I do not do, I cannot do a Japanese accent to save my life, and I don't try to. But sounding like a Midwest guy doing Japanese is kind of goofy. Like, moshi moshi. Hi, what do you want, Micah desu? It just doesn't sound right, you know. It's not quite what it needs to be. If I were to get into VO work, Mike Patton would be interesting. Oh, dude, Mike Patton's incredible. If you've ever played the Darkness video game, dear God, what that man's able to pull off. There's no distortion in that either, at all. It's just him. And you listen to it, you're like, how? How does he do this? Where is the F2 run? That's the F1 runner. Uh, hmm. I'm gonna have to pull the box out and have a good look here. Oh, there it is. Perspective matters. And never let anyone tell you that it doesn't. Bricks and minifigs? I know nothing about what's going on with any of that. No clue. Yeah, I actually still own a physical copy of The Darkness. Is that backwards compatible? We'll have a look at that before we call it today, because I've just been yapping and flipping parts. We haven't done any actual painting today. We will have more painting next week, I promise. Heck, I might paint during the Q&A stream tomorrow. And again, as a reminder, for those of you who are members, we're going to be doing that at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. and it will be streaming both here on YouTube and over on Patreon. So I do have a dual stream option. I actually went out of my way last night to find out how to do it, and I managed to figure out the configuration stuff, but tomorrow will admittedly be an experiment. See, I didn't like the Darkness 2, so I didn't buy that one. But the first one, man, that was... They went all out on that game, because that was Starbreeze Studios at their peak. Like, the gunplay is not that great, but dear God, the rest of it. The actual stuff with the darkness is really good. And to be honest, like, gunplay has never been Starbreeze Studios' thing. You know, like, when half of them split and went to form Machine Games, they got a lot better at it. But it was just never really a thing, you know? Same thing with, like, Chronicles of Riddick. Riddick didn't have good gunplay at all. It was a lot of the melee stuff that people got into it for. You know, that and playing as Riddick. Speaking of which, I really hope that movie comes out sometime this century. Before Vin is, like, 60 and has, like, a pot belly. I don't have enough sticks for the last 4 things, so that'll have to do. Alright. Well. Yeah, that's the funny thing. Like, the gunplay in New Colossus was a lot better than in whatchamacallit, in New Order. But man, the story was not there. Oh. Okay. Sorry, there were 2 pieces I almost forgot. You know, we might be able to get these primed before I take off. Do I like Dawn of War? Yeah. Though I admittedly don't play Dawn of War. I play the skirmish mode. I really like that. The campaigns, the original campaign is really, really fun. Has a nice little 40k story and all that stuff, right? But I don't play the I don't play skirmish on normal. I play it in the in the modded version instead, because you get a lot more factions and it's actually balanced better than they've been able to balance it normally, which is kind of hilarious. Because in the unification mod, you can get Primarchs. I shit you not. Like, you can, like, every army has a special unit. Like, Farsight's in it, Rogel Dorn is in it, Vulcan is in it, the Lion is in it, so on and so forth. And then if the Primarch isn't there, then their Chapter Master probably is. But it feels a lot better than, not Crucible, Unification. But it feels a lot better than vanilla. But then again, I'm a Space Marine player, and they all like they constantly say, "Oh, we're balancing it, we're balancing it." Their version of balance has always been nerf the fuck out of the Space Marines. Make the Space Marines the bottom of the bottom tier. They've always done that. Relic has always done that. Which is why I'm kind of glad that there's a new developer taking over the franchise. I've never really thought Relic was that great. They're good, but they've always been a little off kilter to me. So let's take the poster boys of the game and make them not fun to play in multiplayer. Great idea. There was a patch they put out for like the current version of Dawn of War, the remaster they released, where I shit you not, like with proper upgrades, the orcs were almost invincible. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, I shit you not. For one of the patches, I like just playing the base game. I had 3 squads of Marines with heavy bolters shooting 1 squad of orcs, and the orcs weren't taking damage. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Relic made 3 fantastic games. Dawn of War 1, Company of Heroes 1, and Space Marine. Everything else sucked. I wouldn't say Dawn of War 2 sucks, but it's not as good as the first one. 3 did suck. That goes without saying. 3 was them trying to get into the MOBA crowd, and it was a stupid idea. Which, if GW wanted a live service game, they have it now with Darktide, so... Because Darktide is fun to play, because it's basically 40k Left 4 Dead. But, the downside to it is that it is over monetized to hell. Like, getting new cosmetics in and earning them is a motherfucker in Darktide. Like, it's very hard to earn things like that if you want to just look cool. Oh, by the way, I didn't talk about Rogue Trader. I finished Rogue Trader. I've been putting it off for ages because Brain and I had been playing it together. I would be the Rogue Trader, he would be Abelard. And we were having fun with it. But just, I didn't take the time to finish it. And I was reading some stuff about stuff you could do in it, and I'm like, alright, you know what, I'll give it a try. And then I ended up beating it 2 days later. And I will say, man, the late game in that is a lot of fun. Because it rewards creative thinking. Because there's a lot of, like, buffs and debuffs and things like that you can use, and things of that nature. I got to a point where, with Pascal, I could have him quite literally destroy a demon engine by shouting at it. And I'm like, yeah, that's a servant of the Omnissiah for you. The one thing that I would say that I fucked up though is I didn't take the time to get interested in some of the characters. Like, and I didn't realize this until the end. I barely talked to anybody except for the Space Wolf and the Death Cult Assassin who I romanced. So, yes, I went after the goth chick. The one thing that's funny about your romance with her is the rogue trader will remark at some point that like she actually looks like she's eating and getting sun. And I'm like, oh wow. You literally do fix her. That's funny. But I got to know those two because it's a space wolf. Space wolves are always fun. I don't like, people who hate the space wolves are full of shit. The space wolves are always fun. Um, they're as popular as they are for a reason. So Ulfar was great. I loved him. He was also he was my dude. Like he was people constantly the one thing that people would complain about with him is he didn't do a ton of damage. And I'm like, well, he's also huge and in power armor. Tank. So that's what I had him do. I just would put him in the middle of the fray and have him just tank everything. You know? Because he's the biggest thing on the board. He's what everybody's going to aim for. And he could take it. So I just steamrolled a bunch of stuff with him. Because he does get, like, ever since they've updated the game several times, and they've given him a lot more, like, new equipment and new weapons and stuff, and he's really good by late game. The last weapon you get for him is a power sword, and goddamn, that thing fucks. But there's some really interesting ideas present in it. Specifically with like the machine spirit of your ship. That plot line is really cool. I liked a lot of the stuff just with the Von Valancius dynasty. I was always intrigued by it and dealing with other rogue traders, and you could see kind of like how different a rogue trader could be. I was dogmatic with with a little bit of iconoclast in the sense that I was all in on the idea of the Emperor being a god, but I didn't hate any Xenos that wasn't trying to kill me, if that makes any sense. Like, if your first instinct as an Eldar is, I'm not going to kill you, Monkey, which is apparently it's not Monkai, it's apparently Monkey. So they're calling you a monkey. But if they're not trying to kill me, I'm not trying to kill them. Because it's just the like they're if they just like they could go be racist over in their own corner. I don't give a fuck, right? So that was basically like the rogue trader that I was. You meet a rogue trader that is an absolute cunt that falls to corn, and you meet another one that's so dogmatic she's burning people in the streets, and it's like Jesus. So yeah, Risa would love the Eldar. I could see it. I could see it. All right, guys. I've been awake for 2.5 hours. I have a lot to get done. I have not taken my meds yet. I have not eaten or anything of that sort. I need to go do all those things. So we're gonna call an end to stream right now. Sorry, I apologize. I started late, that's my fault. And yeah. Not a whole lot going on. But tomorrow, I love you tomorrow. I am doing a 2-hour Q&A for members. So if if you are a member, you can you'll be able to watch that tomorrow here on YouTube or over on Patreon if you're a patron. And we will be taking questions from both. The only thing that we're not talking about is politics. Basically, you can ask me anything about anything. So I'm going to go ahead and take off. You guys have yourselves a great night, and I will see you next time. I'm fucking hungry.